Okay, well, hello everybody. It's about 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 21st. How's everybody doing? I actually thought a lot about our last class lecture last week, and it seems like there was a little bit of confusion or, concern about the duties of a rehabilitation counselor surrounding the job placement part of the work. Now, last week's lecture was on private rehabilitation counseling, which job placement would be a decent size part of the responsibilities of a rehabilitation counselor, depending on their agency. I mean, some rehabilitation counselors might work for an insurance company and just farm all that out and do case management. I should have perhaps been a little clearer. Now, because again, that lecture was focused on private rehab. If you are going to be in the public sector, which a number of you will be starting out, that really ranges from place to place. Some rehabilitation counselors working at the state agencies, like in DC, it would be RSA. In Virginia, it'd be DARS. In Maryland, it would be DORS, DORS. There's variations, and even some states, for example, like if you are a rehabilitation counselor in Illinois, you would do zero job placement. That would be all allocated to what's called a vendor or another company, a community rehabilitation provider, that the state agency would kind of make the referral and monitor all the progress, but wouldn't actually do a lot of the hands-on job placement. So again, think about private, there's more hands-on doing all the activities. Public, there's more of it allocated towards CRPs or community rehabilitation providers or third parties to do some of the job placement activities. So I probably should have been a little bit more clear, but since last week's lecture was on private rehab, that's what I focused on and provided reports from the private sector. So let's talk about going forward. So I will be grading the Quiz 11s today. It looks like a number of students have started on Quiz 12. Some people have submitted the research papers. Let me just go into the Blackboard real quick. So we know that the research paper is due today. So that's before 11:59 p.m. EST, since we're here on the East Coast. If you do need a little extra time, that's fine with me. I would prefer that you would reach out ahead of time, at least a few days, if not a week. But if you have extenuating circumstances, let me know. We could work something out. Now, the only thing that's really going to be left once you submit your research paper is the final exam. Now, if you recall, we put it to a vote, and all the online votes that came in all wanted an extra class next Thursday. So we will have an extra class next Thursday, so that would be December the 5th. And we'll be talking about the content on the final exam and kind of giving you an idea what to expect, what to study, all that kind of good stuff. Another thing that I think I mentioned in prior, I think 2 lectures ago, is the rehab site visit. Those papers have all been graded. If you notice on like our outline, it would say that we were going to have presentations, but obviously we're not having class today. So to make your life a little easier, the part of the presentations was kind of just excluded. Since we have a special course with a mixture of online and on-campus students, I figured let's just eliminate that because that won't be fair to the 2 different groups. Normally, if it would just be an on-campus course, we would have all the presentations from your site visits today. But long story short, to make your life easier, I mean, we could have had you do the PowerPoint presentations and upload them, but I wanted to try to do what I can to, facilitate you completing the course ASAP. So get in the research paper hopefully by the end of the close of today, 11:59 p.m. If for some reason you're not going to make that or you need an extra day or so, just please reach out to me today. Let me know. Don't wait until the deadline is passed and be like, oh, by the way, I need some extra time. Think about the real world. That doesn't really fly in the real world. So let's try to have our course be as similar as possible. So since the final exam, what I'll do is I always like to try to give you a week, but if we're going to have class on the 5th and go through like some study tips and what to be looking for, and perhaps even talking a little bit more about the roles of rehabilitation counselors and what they can do, I mean, really, I probably should have. I would thought in the last, X amount of lectures we've done online, we talked about the public and private and the differences between the markets. But in the public sector, you are not doing a lot of the hands-on job placement like we talked about a moment ago, and the duties are slightly different. Maybe what I'll do is I'll bring in some role and function studies also for our last class that kind of shows you the differences in the duties and what's an average day like for rehabilitation counselors in the public, in the private sectors, because they are different, quite honestly. But the bottom line is once you obtain your master's degree, the first step would be getting your CRC, Certified Rehabilitation Counselor. Then you need to, depending on the state, build up about 2,500 to 4,000 clinically supervised hours working with real people. Then you can apply to your state licensure exam. Now, once you become licensed as a licensed professional counselor, or in Maryland, it's licensed clinical professional counselor, you can work with any type of individuals that your education and training experience, allow you to. You can do really anything you want, including starting your own business and billing third parties like insurance companies. So licensure, once you are able to get to that point, you kind of can really do what you want to some degree. So I'm trying to think, what else do we need to talk about? So we'll meet next week. Every single person voted for having the extra study time, one wrap-up session. So I think that's a good idea, and I'm certainly happy to do that. I'm trying to think if there's any other housekeeping. I don't think so. So let's just plan on meeting next week. Oh, I did send out, let me just pull up what I've been sending out announcements. So you did get, last week, if you recall, I sent a couple things. One was the ACA, American Counseling Association, salary study that looks at clinical, school, rehab, and counselor educators. And then the CRC, which is specifically rehab counseling salaries. So you got those two data points to look at what counselors are making in the market. And then again, think about it. Both of those have a mixture of public and private. So it's a mixture. In my opinion, private, you make more money than public. So then the mean or the average salaries is going to be brought down. Now, if you look at the International Association of Rehabilitation Professionals, the salary survey that I completed recently that's put up there, that focuses on the private sector. Now, again, there's different markets, different clientele, different wages, different duties. You'll have the same foundational skills, like interviewing skills, ethics, steering techniques, and so on. But the clientele and your duties and your average day will be different depending on what market you're in. This study focuses on the private sector. Now, if you click on the study, you can see that this was done in 2016, and it had 501 people that started the survey, so pretty good sample size, and 412 completed every single question. So those are the participants in this study. They all are working in the private sector, and you can see if you go through the methodology and then through the results, the average income reported was $125,000 and change. It was $125,927. The median was $95,000. Some people were making over $500,000, as you can see. So in the private sector, if you're a go-getter, you're hustling, you have people working for you, you can make a good living. Now, in this sample, it's a little older. So people were in their 50s and so on. You could read through the study. The range was 24 years old to 76 and so on. One thing that did stand out for me, though, is the differential between males and females of what they made. The mean salary for females was $103,316. The median salary for men was $156,397. So a big difference. Basically a third, which is shocking, but it is what it is. And it's not like we had a survey with 10 people in it, because then it could perhaps not be an adequate sample to have a confidence in what we found. This is over 400 counselors. So go ahead and read through this. This will give you some more information, again, on the private for-profit sector. That's different than the public sector that we've talked about many times. So that's up there. Another thing that I submitted was a task stream. Now, probably a lot of you have been doing this for your courses. It's old hat, you know how to do it. One of the things that will be popping up that will need to be completed before the end of December will be uploading. I'm going to try to make it as painless as possible, maybe 1 or 2 assignments, because we'll probably have 3 data points for our accreditation. The final exam, which I'll take care of and you'll have that. We'll probably have you upload your research paper, and then maybe I can take like a average of the quizzes. So it might be 1 or 2 things that you'll have to upload in TaskStream in December. Don't worry about it now. Just know that, and probably what I'll do is talk a lot more about it next week when we're face-to-face in person. But you will have to upload at least 1 and possibly 2 assignments to TaskStream, and you'll be done with that. Blackboard is where your grades are for real, you know, the stuff that you get, the grades, the feedback from me, and so on. TaskStream is strictly for our accreditation, our CACREP accreditation. So there's some new things in there for you to take a look at in the announcements. So this week, let's just focus on getting our papers in and really working as hard as we can. Next week, we'll talk about the final exam, get you ready to take that. You know, in a nutshell, if you've been doing fine on your quizzes and your DQs, there shouldn't be any surprises. So that's all I have for you guys for today. So I look forward to seeing everyone next week. If you have any questions about, you know, what's coming down the pike, you know, how TaskStream works perhaps, the PowerPoint slides kind of walk you through it. And again, probably a number of you have already done it, so you probably don't have any questions about it. But if you do, I'm here to help with that. And really, the last thing after we submit our paper is just a final exam, and then we're done. So in a nutshell, just keep up the good work. I'll be grading the Quiz 11s today, so you should be seeing the feedback and the grade in Blackboard for those. And then we'll just have the next quiz, and we're almost home. We're almost at the end of the semester, and the semester has flown by. And I really do hope that you enjoy like these video lectures and having a hybrid model class. You know, I try to make it as convenient and have all the documents and everything that you need right in the Blackboard. The weekly quizzes are kind of designed to keep you on track as far as the reading. Same thing with the DQs. And I really do look forward to reading the final papers, the research papers, because that's really is going to be very important as well. So without any further ado, I hope you guys have a great week. If you need anything, please let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.